Section 1 is intellectual privacy. Mass surveillance violates intellectual privacy because it deprives individuals of the opportunity to develop their opinions with the public scrutiny. This shows that the privacy it provides is essential for the freedom of thought. Richard 13. The surveillance threatens intellectual privacy with new ideas that develop the best way of the scrutiny of the public exposure. People make up their mind in times and places of their own choosing. Protection of rights allow individuals to develop diversity and the individuality of the freedom of life and the foundation of the first amendment. We are watching and deterred from the engaging deeds of the might deviant. Next is privacy is the foundation of freedom. Mass surveillance is inherently repressive because it exposes individuals to incapable oppressive scrutiny. Greenwald 14. Privacy is essential for all freedom. All repressors rely on the enforce orthodoxies and squash dissent. Lost is quality of life. Next is surveillance suppresses dissent. The government's definition of doing something wrong includes political activism. History proves. Greenwald 14. Justification of the surveillance divides people, good people and bad people. Authorities of the surveillance against bad people doing something wrong extends to the meaningful dissent and many genuine challenge examples of the groups under the surveillance by their activism. MLK, civil rights movement, and environmentalists. Next is mass surveillance inevitably stifles dissent. Defense is over-optimistic. Wall 13. Under the veneer of the national security, officials can use data to go over any one policy errors are not uncorrected. Next is this is effective policy change and functionally impossible. It is good when the individuals have something to hide. Marijuana legalization and the marriage equality proof. Mullen Spike 13. While same-sex marriage, examples of this system can provide real freedoms. These legal victories would not be possible without the ability to break the law before making marijuana legal. It was obviously not legal for the personal use or the present experience of what we are able to do determines our sense of what is possible. Same-sex marriage relationships is a violation of law and a necessary precondition of the legalization of same-sex marriage. This is why we are maintaining positions of the encourage the freedom to talk about these ideas, but never to act upon. Next is the massive scope is unknowability of the federal criminal law magnifies the impact without privacy protection, and the government can justify prosecuting anyone. Mullen Spike 13. The CRS cannot count the current number of federal crimes and the infinite circumstances triggering an investigation. Next is social injustice outweighs on scope, depth, and probability. When the discourse of the security frames politics, rampant oppression is normalized. When the cumulative impact is huge. Gross 10. Discourse of the security and the culture of violence and the anti-democratic practices become somehow normalized when they become militarized discourse. Model of the notations of the war battle, winning of all costs and eliminating the enemy. Politics shares a connection of the soft terrorism tied to the corporation, stated sanctions, brutality and authorization, engagement of the militarization, disciplining and oppressive regulation of the society. Continues speculates of the violence becoming only semi left to shock people out of their boredom. Common sense is the anti-politics because it removes the question of agency, governance, and the critical thought of the politics itself. There are no social problems, only individual feelings. Poverty, prison, binge education cannot be addressing by the logic of common sense. Common sense occupies the antithesis of the debate. Discourse creates a zombie politics and the deliberation is blocked. Next is suppression of dissent, cements injustice. Such conditions can improve the only freedom is thought and protective. Section 99. People who exercise substantial power prone to the act of their own self-interest. Wealth enables to buy political favors through a strong psychological need for the belief society's ways in the right way. Dissent is indispensable. Without it, unjust hierarchies would flourish from the little possibility in a constructive change. Next is contention to his framing, no war. Fight to his 3. The danger of major would be remove nuclear weapons, remove victory from the calculation of the aggressor. Today's powers shy away from the direct conflict. Major wealth and the power of the derived from the increase in the economic reach to the moral progress, in a sense that the war can no longer be justified. Next is miscalc or escalation. Quillon 9. Neither side could be escalation, but the appalled looking for the signs of the other was ready to halt. Nuclear armory can inflict destruction, outweighing and the price probability of the accident of triggering an explosion is low. The mechanism needed for the demanding in these past 60 years is improvements in the safety arrangements. History scarcely offers an example of war started by the accident. Can be before the nuclear revolution imposed caution and the probability is very low. Next is counterforcing solves escalation. Mueller 09. The likely scenario was the counterforcing that the weapons and the targeting and the silos, airfields, and the submarine bases and destroys the country's ability to retaliate. Since the attack would not be targeted for population, deaths would be 2 to 20 million depending on the sheltering. Next is you cannot make linear predictions within the system. It is inherently volatile. Taylor and Blythe 11. Complex systems have suppressed volatility. It's become extremely fragile. These artificially constrained systems become prone to black swans. Such environments is doing something is always better than doing nothing. Least the desire and the opposed solutions that is no stability without volatility. The next is the threat industries fabricates danger to justify military expansion. Tysher 7. Military seeks role expansion through an threat of inflammation, finds rationales for the ruthless action, military power unchecked because its monitoring institutions have been dismantled. Next is utilitarian mentalities to sacrifice anything and everything to avoid extinction is used to make ongoing violence. Zimmerman 1994. Loss of these relations would even be more dangerous than the complete annihilation of the humanity and destruction of the earth. The humanity avoided nuclear war and the survival of the animals. We would exist on hell on earth and masquerading as paradise. Next is util inevitably results in social paralysis. For 12, we allow such shortage of the time shortage of the information calculating robot would be implemented by the human brain. It would be utterly paralyzing and almost always go badly. Next is thus the plan. The USFG substantially curtail its domestic surveillance by using federal intelligence and law enforcement agencies, and by required to obtain an individual Title III super warrant in order to conduct surveillance of U.S. persons' intellectual records. Next, condition 3 is solvency. The plan ends both surveillance of the intellectual records. Status quo of the NSA programs are extremely invasive. Lead 15. Congress has failed to limit key score from the bulk surveillance of the internet traffic in the order of magnitude, but invasive key score violate the wiretap and the agents in the search your data. There must be a warrant. There must be a warrant issued if they have a probable cause and not a specific. The government is indiscriminately seizing traffic without probable cause. The agency committed an unconstitutional, unreasonable seizure, even in the analysis, never querying the data. Next is bulk surveillance violates intellectual privacy on judicially approved targeted surveillance. Surveillance is legitimate. Richard 13. Surveillance of the internet is power with a massive abuse. Internet surveillance must be subjected to the meaningful judicial process before it is authorized. World of total surveillance without being menacing watchers and having increases power to the sort. Individuals, we would follow the example of the wiretapping law. Next is a super warrant should be required for surveillance or of intellectual records. The plan effectively protects intellectual privacy. Richard 13. Surveillance menaces our IP in the process of the belief information in this which such free society depends. They create a power of imbalance that creates discrimination. Surveillance of the intellectual records should be subjected to the high threshold before a warrant can be issued. Government agents must show the warrant. There must be sought in limited time. That interception is necessary for the obtain the information sought, and the wiretapping is conducted to the minimum interception and the information not relevant to the warrant. These super warrants protections should be expanded over the coverage of the full range of intellectual records. Next is intellectual privacy protects against oppression. Singular 16. Intellectual privacy is one of for anyone in intellect needing to have a protections from being watched and interfered when we are making up our minds in the world, when we are reading, surfing the web, and talking on the phone and sending the email to confinements. We didn't have anything to think about in our beliefs, desires, and fantasies or matters of intellectual privacy until recently, when we started interacting over digital devices that keep long and detailed records of